August already? Yeah, it's going to be August already, believe it or not. I'm Armand Diaz with your weekly astrology forecast for the week of July 29th. It starts in July and going out till Sunday, August 4th. Before we get started with the forecast, I do want to talk a little bit about the general nature of these forecasts. It's a weather report. It's a general weather report of what's going on in the sky and how it affects us on a kind of collective level. It's not, obviously, it's not how it affects your individual chart. So what could be an easy aspect in the sky may really, hit you hard. And for that matter, it could go the other way around too. And even if it does hit your chart in a particular way, that doesn't really say how you personally are going to handle that energy. That's still up to you. It's a weather report. Now, some folks seem to like to use these as excuses not to do anything. It's going to be cloudy weather. I'm not going to leave the house because it might rain or something along those lines. Just as that would be a foolish thing to do in terms of the meteorological weather, it is a foolish thing to do in terms of astrology. If it's going to rain, you can still go outside. Maybe bring an umbrella. Maybe let's just bring an umbrella. That's good enough. So it's not an indication that you shouldn't do things. It's an awareness of what the general vibe in the collective is going to be, what you're going to have to deal with, some of what you might feel, but also what you have to deal with when you deal with others. That's the most important thing that we get out of this. It is no kind of an indication that you shouldn't be doing things. Sometimes people say, when are these aspects going to be over? When are we going to be free from these aspects that are the tense aspects? The answer to that question is really simple. When you're dead. When you're dead, you're not going to have to worry about these aspects. You're not going to have to worry about what's going on in the sky or anything like that because you'll be dead. I'm not saying you don't have other problems to deal with on other planes, but it's not going to matter too much if there's an eclipse or something along those lines, right? Okay, so let's get into this week. And it is a really strange week because it's the quiet of the new moon, but as often happens, there are really prickly aspects that happen at this time. So we're kind of sort of winding down, quiet, take a step back type of energy. And then boom, stuff starts happening and you have to deal with it. Okay, so this is the Leo new moon. Right, the Leo new moon is on Wednesday night. If you're in the Eastern, if you're anywhere in the United States, it'll be early Thursday morning if you're in Europe. So the Leo new moon is about the resolve to follow your heart. What energizes you? What excites you? What is the thing that you really, that's you? That feels great. You need more of that. Right? And this is what we do at the Leo new moon. We say, okay, well, I got to get more of that in my life. That's the basic theme of this new moon. Now we come into the week on Monday. We have a very, very strange situation going on over here. It's interesting. The moon is waning and it's in Cancer, very security oriented, very reserved, take a step back kind of energy. But the sun is in Leo and is not reserved at all and is going to square Uranus in Taurus. So on the one hand, we have this kind of, step back, ease into the new moon feel. Cancer is a little prickly. It's a crab after all, Cancer is a crab. The moon in Cancer has an emotionality, a reactivity sometimes. And it's liable to be set off with this Uranus sun energy going on. Now, this aspect itself, it really seems to demand action. It's not a sit still kind of aspect at all. With the sun in Leo and Uranus in Taurus, we have a strong need for individuality going on here. That's the theme of this. It's rather in contrast to that sort of Cancerian security. The sun in Uranus is saying, I got to do what I got to do. I got to be me. It's an I got to be me type of aspect. The moon in Cancer is not so sure it's got to be me. The moon in Cancer might just want to sort of stay home and be careful. So there's a little bit of a contrast there, especially a waning moon in Cancer. Oh, let me just sort of take it easy. But the Sun Uranus doesn't really let that happen. Now, the Sun and Uranus are different flavors of a very similar theme. The Sun about individuality, your vitality, where you feel that you're doing things that are in concert really with your soul level self. It's sort of ego, but it's the part of your life that you feel is on the same track with your soul. This is where you identify with. So this is a strongly individualistic type of energy. Uranus, yeah, Uranus rules Aquarius. It's about the collective and so on. But Uranus is well known to be something that is in a person's chart is where we're individuals, where we break new ground, where we go our own way. So it also has a sort of maverick energy. So the maverick energy of Uranus and the individual heart-centered energy of the Sun, these two things are actually working fairly well together. There's a great potential for them to work together at any rate. Uranus is considered to be in fall in Leo, and I don't really see that, to tell you the truth. Those of us who have our Uranus in the sign of Leo, born between 1955 and roughly 1962, I don't think we're at any particular disadvantage. It was the era of rock and roll when Uranus got into Leo and caught up with Pluto in Leo. That was 1955 was really the start of rock and roll. So that's, that seems to me to be pretty good. It is a potentially sort of rebel without a cause type of energy, though. It's like, I've got to be me, I've got to be the individual, and then I'm just going to reject anything that is traditional, anything that is established, for the sake of rejecting anything that is traditional or established. That is the one kind of caveat that goes with this Uranian Leonine energy. And we'll see a little bit of that on Monday. We'll feel a little bit of that kind of, sometimes you just want to break away. What I see is that at the beginning of this week, Monday and then into Tuesday, we are kind of looking for freedom from, right? Because anytime you have this sort of revolutionary energy, you've always got freedom from stuff, and then you've got freedom to, right? Freedom from the constraints, freedom from the limitations, but internal and external. But at the same time, there has to be freedom to do what you want, do what you need, to be who you are. So this is the kind of thing, at the beginning of the week, I think we're going to really be working on freedom from, but keep in mind that we're also looking towards freedom to, which we're going to feel later in the week as we go along. So certainly at the new moon, it's a great time to think about freedom to be who you are, to do what you need to do. So there's the two sides of the coin. All right, Tuesday, we have the moon in Cancer opposite Saturn and then Pluto. I'm feeling that could be another one of these sort of external pressures increase. Monday, I feel like it could be a little bit more like you yourself within have a bit of a conflict or a bit of a need to assert yourself. Tuesday, it's more like somebody else is going to sort of push back a little bit. It's two different flavors of the constraints that you're rebelling against. Just a quick little aside, Sunday night, the 28th, Monday night, the 29th, a lot of times when Uranus aspects are hot in the sky, sleep is a little bit tough to do. It's the new moon, which we usually get a little bit more sleep around this time, but often there's a kind of restlessness, this sort of, thoughts racing type of thing that's going on. We'll have a little bit more of that later in the week as well. All right, we get into Wednesday. It is the new moon. That is, heart-centered. What do I want to go to? I got to be me. What does that mean? It's also the day that Mercury stations to go direct. That means that really midweek, Tuesday through Thursday, mercurial mishaps multiply. And it's especially good to be cautious in terms of travel time and watch out for technology, snafus, communication things, and all of that. When Mercury is direct, Thursday, Friday, and onwards, I guess you can sort of, Mercury will still be stopped and still very close to his retrograde, in his retrograde shadow. I would hold off until next week at the earliest for contracts, dealing with paperworky, bureaucratic types of things, buying new technology or anything like that. So yeah, Mercury's direct on the weekend, but not so much. All right. As we get into Thursday, I mean, Wednesday's really a day not to do very much. It's just a sort of even keel kind of day, just take care of routine stuff and all of that. You might even want to just sort of take some time off. Thursday, things even out a little bit. But Thursday, Friday, and I'd say into Saturday, all of a sudden the focus shifts a bit towards relationships. Now, for those who are in a good place with their relationships, this is a time when it's just an energized time. I think even couples that are on a good page might want to break up routine a little bit, might want to vary things, try stuff a little bit differently. I think it's very likely too that we might want a little bit of alone time, even given a good relationship. It might be like, okay, well, you want to go there and I'll go over here and that'll be okay. It is the kind of energy between Venus squaring Uranus and Mars meeting with partnership asteroid Juno. It is the kind of energy that very, very likely could result in taking a relationship to another place. I would say like the next level, just another place. It could represent some shifts in relationships. Of course, relationships that are in a vulnerable place might feel that this is a more volatile type of thing. If you're in a good spot, just a influx of energy. But if you're in a more vulnerable place, it could be a little bit more challenging. For the rest of us, the moon will be in Virgo on Friday and Saturday. The just waxing moon in Virgo, great opportunity to do prep work, to take some inventory. You don't want to launch major projects just yet, but it is a time to kind of begin to get some stuff in place, get early work on projects. I think that Virgo is just very good for taking care of routine stuff as well, which is again, this close to the new moon is probably a good idea. Finally, on Sunday, the moon goes into Libra, makes a series of pretty easy aspects. It's eventually going to square Saturn and Pluto, but we get a pretty good start to the moon in Libra time on Sunday. Probably helps to smooth things out a little bit if the last couple of days were rough in terms of relationship, but just in terms of socializing, I think that it's a good mellower kind of energy. In terms of socializing in general, I think that if getting everybody on the same page this weekend could be like herding cats. That's really true. But other than that, it's a pretty good energy. I mean, Virgo moon is not, but it's not exactly a quiet time, even though we're just starting to wax. So it's a pretty good time for getting out on the weekend. I think that Venus Uranus energy, it's good for going out and trying something experimental, going to see something that is a little bit avant-garde. You could appreciate that. Also, too, Virgo moon, great for cooking, taking care of things on that level, being healthy. Maybe this is not a weekend for, quite the wild party type of thing. It might be a little bit more, cooking a nice healthy dinner, that type of thing. All right, there you go. That's this week coming up. A long forecast, a lot of things to say. In general, it's a week where you try to get in line with your heart. What is the thing that really matters to you? Where do you get your energy from? And you got to get more of that. And I'll see you next week.